Thanks for joining in. GM. Sweet. Carlos, you ready? We can maybe kick off in the next 30 seconds.
Sure, yeah, I'm here. Ready.
Sounds good. Sweet. Just waiting for a few people to get in. Alrighty. Cool. Hey everyone, and welcome to the StarkHack workshop titled Scaffolding Web Apps on Starknet. Joining us today is Carlos, who will be taking us through the session. And with that, I'll pass it over to Carlos to get the workshop started. Over to you, Carlos.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Carlos and I'm a developer on the Starknet and Ethereum ecosystem. Just like you guys, I also enjoy doing hackathons, participating on them. And I'm here today to give a brief introduction and simple demo of Scaffold-Stark. I think Gian is going to be on the chat later to answer some questions as well. So let me tell you what is a Scaffold-Stark. It's basically a mono repo. It's like a toolkit to make your life easier to launch web applications on a Starknet. And I want to mention that this is a migration of Scaffold ETH. If you guys are hackathon people, you should know what is a Scaffold ETH. And this is brought to life by Bill Gill. So Scaffold ETH is a tool very useful and very, very popular in hackathons because it's fairly simple to do quick demos and present them to the judges without much friction. Because, in hackathons, usually we don't have much time. So we need less friction and more to focus more on the building process. So all the code structure on this repo that you see on my screen and CLIs available are very similar to the ones in a Scaffold ETH. And the reason is because Scaffold ETH is very popular. If you have used a Scaffold ETH, you're gonna be coming here and use it the same way you're using a Scaffold ETH before. So in a summary, this tool will allow you to launch an app with a few command lines, directly live to Vercel and ready for you to show to your friends and hackathon judges. And it comes with a debug page, as you can see here. In the debug page, you can interact with your contracts. It changes after you run a fresh deploy. And there is wrapper hooks with type auto-completion that you can refer to your contracts using their names rather than using ABIs or contract addresses. So it's very helpful for you to speed run your web app development. So just let's get through the quick demo. So basically, you just come to the repository first. And then you're going to see a bunch of requirements here. You must make sure that you fulfill these requirements before you're actually using the tool. I'm going to talk more about this later. So I'm going to skip this setup first. I'm going to go directly into the Kickstart part. Kickstart. So in this part, I'm going to start by cloning the repo. So I'm going to do this on a terminal, and I'm going to name it demo if global. And then I'm going to go there, CV into there. So first we'll need 3 terminals all together, all in the same folder. And then the first step is you will do yarn chain. Yarn install, sorry. And then it's going to install your packages and everything. You can also follow along through the README here. You can see the yarn install and CD into the project folder. Then we're going to prepare also our EMVs. Right, and then we're going to just run our chain. So what is going to happen now, it's going to start building a Rust project that it's testnet in Rust from a Starknet. It's like a local host network of a Starknet, which will allow you to test everything localhost. And this is going to run for a few seconds, but this is only on the first time. After that, you just do yarn chain again, and it works out of the box. What I wanted to mention before, while this is running, I wanted to say that these versions are very important. Because the main dependency here in this framework is Starknet React, and they have the latest release on the Starknet React is still under 5.24, 25, I believe, of Starknet JS. So we're kind of like basing all the main repo, the main branch in these versions. Okay, and then I also want to mention that the framework is quite new. There's a bunch of improvements to make, and you can guys, if you are interested in like putting like more features or probably fixing some bugs, you can come into Only Das and you can find here the repo and collaborate, contribute, and you will also get rewarded. So after this yarn chain has started, let's take a few more seconds. So we have our local host here. Let's just wait. Now we have it running. And now we can just do yarn deploy on a second terminal. This is also going to take some seconds. I want to mention also that if you're familiar with the scaffold, these steps are just the same. It works the same way. You can yarn chain first, yarn deploy, and here you will yarn start your app. So I'm running yarn start here. It's gonna give me a localhost client app. So I can take a look. So there is a home page. You can customize this home page however you want it. So you can use this as for your demo for the hackathon if you want to build a project. But then there is a debug contracts page that has your contract that you just deployed. So the contract was just deployed now. You can see the address, it's here. And then you have another pre-deploy contract, which is ETH. If you are maybe new to Starknet, you might want to know that ETH is like another token on a Starknet. So you basically cannot send value through the transactions. You have to approve ETH and then execute a transaction to transfer the ETH into a contract. But this is not a blocker. I think you can, because of that, you can do many, many more things on Starknet. And I will show you later. So for example, here you can set a greeting like hi. You can interact with your contract here on the, oh, I need to connect to my DevNet. So in localhost, you will have to connect to burner wallets. And we provide some burner wallets here. So they will have around 1,000 ETH. You can just do transactions with them. It's easier. So I'm setting a greeting for hi and with 0 ETH. So if I want to send ETH, I will have to approve the ETH first. Just like you do an ERC20 approve, you will have to approve the ETH to this contract. So I copy the contract address. You can see I can copy contract address here. I go to ETH. I approve it with 1 ETH. And then I go back and I can do the transaction like hi ETH global. And then this transaction is going to send 1 ETH to the contract and update this greeting. You will see here now there is 1 ETH of balance. So moving out from here, the cool thing you can do with the scaffold is like, let's open the code editor. You see the packages are, the structure is very similar to Scaffold ETH. So you will have Next.js package and Starknet Foundry. The Starknet Foundry still is using scripts in TypeScript. So as soon as there is more file like writing and reading from Starknet Foundry, we will be updating this to a fully Foundry package. So we already have our EMB here. And on our Next.js app, you can see there is a scaffold config file where we can set the chain we are in. So now we are in DevNet. We can change this to Sepolia and also mainnet. So let's go to the main part of this app, which is the contract. So here's a sample contract that we have. And I'm gonna change, right? I'm gonna change something like a greeting. I'm gonna change the name of this function. And I'm gonna add a new function like donate to this contract. It's gonna transfer some ETH from the caller to the contract and a specific amount. This is a donation function. And then I'm gonna do it here. So yeah, this should be ready. Should be ready to compile. What you have to do is you just have to save it first, save the file, and then you do yarn deploy. So we go back to the app. This should be updating after the deployment has finished, and we will see the new functions here as well. We can interact again with the contract. Okay, now it's finished. We can see that there's a new greeting function, set greeting new, and there is a donate to this contract function. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how you can use these hooks here on the main page. So we go to the Next.js package, the app, and then you open page. I'm going to comment out this part, and I'm going to open this. It's like a test. It's going to be a button that is going to donate 10 ETH. Donate 10 ETH to the contract that we just deployed. And if you're familiar with WAGMI or Starknet React, you'll know what to do here. You can just directly get the right async and use scaffold. So this is something interesting on a Starknet because every account is a smart contract. You can do multi-invokes, which is like many calls in one transaction. So we are going to use that for approving a token and then for donating to the contract. Okay, so we have the calls. And we have a helper function called create contract call here that we can use to generate our contract calls one by one. So the first thing we need to do is we need to choose our contract. And you can see here there is like type completion, so you can see which contracts you have deployed. If I change my contract names, if I deploy more contracts, those are gonna appear here for me to use. So I'm gonna first approve some ETH. So I pass the function name and then the args. I'm going to need my contract address here. So I'm gonna get it in a while. And then I'm gonna pass 10 ETH, right? Then I'm going to call the function donate to this contract. You see the auto-completion is really helpful. It's gonna boost and speed up the development process. So I am doing here like 10 ETH, as you can see, decimals, 10 ETH. I need this contract address. So I can also use another hook that is very important on the scaffold. It's going to be the use deployed contract info. You can use this one. And you see that also it gives me two contracts, and I can use your contract. And I'm going to put this address here. Okay, so we're good to go. We have a multi-write contract hook here. We can do two calls, basically two transactions in one. So we have the write async, and then we just put it here. I'm gonna put some styling to that. Let me just do this. Okay. So we have this button here, like donate 10 ETH to the contract. And what it's gonna do is gonna approve tokens and then send them to the contract. So as you can see here, my balance, it's going to change. Now it's 988. So I donated 10 ETH to the contract. If I go here, this contract has now 10 ETH. So this is working in localhost. As you might want to ask, probably you want this app to be live because you're on a hackathon and you're sending these to probably the judges or your friends. You want them to test what you have built. So after you have done this, you can just deploy these to Sepolia. But first, I'm going to change these to 0 to be like a smaller number because I don't have much ETH. So I'm going to do 0.001 ETH. And then I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to fill, let me just show you how the EMV looks like on the Foundry package. There is a Foundry package here. There is an EMV example. So it has a RPC that you can use. You can use this. If you want, you can claim your own Infura, but I'm gonna use the same. So I'm gonna put this on the side and fill up my private key and my account address so I can deploy. Okay, where is this? Okay, this should be good. I think I have already put my EMV on the side. And now what I just do here is I'm gonna double check that my app has only 0.01 ETH here and it's all good. Then we just run again the yarn deploy, but we're gonna add the network. So we're gonna say we're gonna deploy these to Sepolia. And while this is deploying, I also want to mention that if you're deploying these into like Vercel or something, I would highly recommend or suggest that you use these RPC or find your own RPC from Infura because Starknet React uses some free RPCs and it might be a bit laggy sometimes. So if you have a dedicated RPC for your app, it's going to be better. So after the app is already live, you see the contract is already there. But I can just come here and change my scaffold config into Sepolia. And I can see my contract. So I can click on it. As you can see, this contract is still not deployed on the Explorer. And this is where a scaffold becomes very useful because you have it here. You can already interact. You can see code. You can see the calls, the data, but it's still pending on the Explorer. So it just makes it faster for you to develop. After that, we have this. We want to test here first, right? So let's make sure we're in Sepolia on the scaffold config. And then I'm going to connect to my Bravos wallet. I'm going to donate 0.001 ETH. Oh, it seems like I passed wrong one. So I'm going to decline this first. I'm going to change it. I passed 10 here. So it's going to be, I'm going to pass less. Okay, so I'm passing less 0.001 ETH, approving. And I should sign the transaction and I can see it on the scan. So in the scan, I will be able to see a transaction happening. I can do the same with Argent. It works with both wallets. And I can see the debug contracts as well. You can see that there is 0.001 ETH now. And now if I want to say that here in this page, you want to do your magic, right? So you want to build your app in this page. You want to remove everything that is here in the page, create your own components, create your own, I don't know, like a swap or whatever project you're building, you want to do it here and just use these hooks that I just explained about. And then you'll be good to go. So once the app is like live, it's ready here. What you can do is just deploy. And this is another CLI that is very useful on Scaffold ETH. I'm gonna kill this localhost RPC and this one. I don't need it anymore. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to deploy these to Vercel. So I usually use this one. It's very useful. So it's yarn Vercel YOLO -- prod. So you're gonna deploy your app to Vercel and you'll be able to show these to the judges. So no project, link to different, no, sample 5. So it's setting up the project and we just wait for it. No change. Okay. Then what I want to also mention is that again, the RPC, if you want to have a more stable front-end UI, you have to get your own RPC at Infura. It's the one that I would recommend. Just go to Infura dashboard and you will get it. There's also some explanation here on the repository. You can see it here in Infura dashboard. You can go there and get a custom RPC for yourself. It's going to be more stable. And then there are a bunch of features that we are working on now. Maybe if you guys want to contribute again, you can come to Only Dust and you can find us here and contribute by raising issues or solving some issues with PRs. All contribution is welcome. And then also we have a migration of a speedrun Ethereum into speedrun Starknet. It's basically the same challenges on Ethereum, but on a Starknet and using Cairo. And then, okay, so let's check if our app has been built. I can see it. Let me inspect this. It's still building. This contract should be already there. Yes. So we're just still waiting. Let's see, what can I say? Okay. Oh, this versioning, right? This versioning that I mentioned before about compatible versions. If you want like the latest version that has like the latest Cairo support, you should check out the branch v2-Strax. As I mentioned before, it's not quite as stable because Starknet React is still migrating the framework into Starknet JS 6 version 6. So it's gonna be it's not as stable yet. For example, it doesn't, some of the complex types don't work. If you wanna build like a full stack dApp like with the UI, it's gonna probably have some crashes there. But I would suggest just following this main, but if you still are willing to try out the latest one, you can go and check out the branch v2-Strax. So after that, I have this deployment. And yeah, I have it here. I can connect my wallet. I'm going to do Bravos again. And I'm gonna donate some ETH to this contract. And this is live on Vercel, so basically you can show these to the judges and to your friends. You don't need to submit a localhost project anymore. And I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to say thanks. Any questions, probably?
Thanks, Carlos. We have few questions I see in the chat box. Carlos, do you want to pick that up? We have something from CD. What
Okay, let me
about the
check.
scaffold? Yeah.
Uh, I'm checking them. Wait, I must say system help. What about the scaffold from Argent? Oh yeah, so the scaffold from Argent is it's I would say it's more like a toolkit that you can use to do your smart contract development. So it has a lot of features like a local host. I think they have like a deployer. They also got the docs, the scaffold Wikipedia. So starting Wikipedia, you can check out that. But what I want to say here is that the focus of this Scaffold-Stark is basically to follow a scaffold ETH. Because the scaffold ETH is quite popular and famous for hackathons, and we wanted to do two things. We wanted to first allow people that are already using a scaffold ETH in hackathons to use this framework the same way they do in a scaffold. So it's different. The style, the packages, the way it works, the UI as well is just different. That is a scaffold start from Argent. Is there any way to emulate a local chain like emulate a local chain? What do you mean by emulate? It's like a fork? Emulate a local chain with large amounts. You can do forks, I believe, with DevNet. But this one, when I'm doing a yarn chain, I'm basically running a local host blockchain on my machine Takeaways from the meeting. Let's go. Okay, summary. Yes, a fork. Yeah, a fork. Yeah. So again, I want to mention that this you have to follow the README because there is a lot of dependencies. You can see a Scarp. There is Starknet Foundry, Forge, RPC. Also has to be this RPC. If you want to try out your luck into something more updated, you can go into the V2 branch, which has the latest. But I would just suggest going through through this main branch README because we're using DevNet and it has to have like the same version because it works there. So we want to bring something that works because the target is to have less friction for you guys to work and develop an app. If you're not familiar with any scaffold, I would suggest depends on whether you are experienced Starknet developer. If you're experienced Starknet developer, you might want to check out a scaffold from Argent. It has a lot of other tools that we don't have here. If you are starting on a Starknet, if you don't have much experience, probably this is the way to go because first you will learn the dynamics of how this repo works, and also you can check out Scaffold ETH, which is in Ethereum. Scaffold, and then you can also use a Scaffold ETH the same way you do Scaffold-Stark. So you'll win too. This is a Scaffold ETH. It works the same way. I think that's all the questions I saw in the chat.
Cool. Thanks, Carlos. If anyone from the audience who needs to unmute themselves and ask a question, feel free to probably raise your hands or unmute yourself and go ahead with your questions. Or else feel free to drop your questions on the chat box. All right. Looks like there's no question coming in. Probably I can wait for more 30 seconds and probably we can end the session. Cool. All right. So thank you, Carlos, for joining us today and for the great presentation. Big thanks to everyone for joining the workshop from different parts of the world. Feel free to connect with Carlos in the partner Discord channel if you have any questions, and they shall get back to you. Cheers, everyone, and have a great weekend.